For the past 10 years at Berry Street, we've been using a digital board, which has served us very well. But I've always been slightly frustrated with the audio quality. And to make up for this, we ended up buying a load of analog mic pre's and an analog summing mixing system by SSL. As that console came towards the end of its life, I thought it was rather silly that we had the front end and the back end of an analog console without having an analog console. So we ended up selling those things and buying this. John and Dave from Oram came down and installed it. They came down a couple of days later to run more checks on it, and they're coming back in a few weeks' time to run some more checks on it. So it's been more than a sort of buying a console, dump it and go away sort of experience for us. What's important about a mixing console in a studio, for me, is that apart from the engineers and the producers, apart from the human side of what happens in the studio, this is the most important piece of gear in the studio. All the audio sources, all the microphones, all the lines and so on, come into this, get sent off to, these days, a computer, or in the old days, tape, and then they come back to this to be mixed. So everything is colored by the sound of the desk. This is a very nice sounding desk. It has all those analog features you'd expect. It has warmth, width, a lot of headroom, a weighty sound, a flattering sound to audio. I've come here to Oram HQ to see our first sight of the new console, which is going to be installed in 2 days' time. John, can you talk a little bit about your audio philosophy? You've been in the business a very long time, you're very well known, you've got specific ideas of the way things should be built. And also, in these days, why is analog still important?
There's not a lot of room in my life for the digital audio domain. It's got a wonderful application for editing and for tuning and for putting things right. But correcting things really is not what I'm about. I really believe that analog is the purest form of audio, of course. These things are analog, and the sound we produce is analog. Our loudspeakers and microphones are analog, contrary to what some manufacturers put on the box. And the analog domain is never going to be gone. It's something that fell foul of publicity machines, which said, oh yes, move up to digital, and so many studios, so many companies even, decided that they wouldn't manufacture any more analog equipment. I'm very, very happy for Kevin, because I think this is going to be such an incredible board. It's very compact. It has 24 channels, but it also has another 24 faders here. You've got a fader flip, which will flip the two faders and reverse them. You've got another 10 faders with EQ on them. So in reality, this will remix 58 channels, all with faders, all with EQ, okay? And if you really wanted to bring back more sources, at the input here, the mic and line inputs are completely separate. They go into separate mix amps, so you could have, again, a whole bunch of more inputs. This is the same console that, in terms of design feature, that I created for George Lucas for the Titanic movie.
That's the other one I was going to ask you about, because very famously one of these consoles is in Skywalker Ranch.
I met with the sound designer who'd had a lot of success but no Oscars, which was a guy called Christopher Boyes. And Chris got, there was 2 Oscars for sound for Titanic, one for the sound design, which he did on the board, and another one for music, which was done in the main Skywalker room. It is a very special board to me, as I say, because Scott Singer was a very special guy.